Hey, it's Bill McClory from Clements Realty Group. I'm here with Kevin Dillon from North Shore Bank about what happens when a first-time home buyer is buying a house. So these are frequently asked questions that I get. So thanks for coming by, Kevin.
Thanks for having me.
And tell me a little bit about yourself.
So I built some mortgage up with North Shore Bank right on Linfield's Parkway in Saugus. This is a great time today to come and answer some of the frequently asked questions that we both get. We work with an awful lot of first-time home buyers over at North Shore Bank because of the different programs that we have. So it's a great opportunity to get out there and answer some questions for everybody.
Perfect. Um, what do I do first? And when I want to buy a house in, how do I get a mortgage?
So the first thing we always say is you definitely want to get pre-approved. You want to know what you're going to be able to get approved for. No sense in looking for a house that's out of your price range if you find out you can't afford it. So it's important to go in, meet with a rep, someone that you happen to get along with, your personalities match up, and have them go ahead and go over some of the options and what your price range might be. Most importantly, you're going to want to know what type of a monthly payment you're going to be running into. Every once in a while, you get people in there that have a price range in mind that really doesn't match up with what they thought they'd pay per month. That's the most important conversation to have, so make sure you get those questions out of the way first.
I agree with that. So what makes a good lender?
The best ability is availability. You want to be working with someone who answers your phone calls, answers your emails, and is willing to take the time and really to listen to your needs to match up the best loan program. They'll be able to get to know, what's really right for you and again, match up with that monthly payment that's going to, end up going to be the most important part of the whole thing.
Perfect. And how long should it take to get a pre-approval?
Shouldn't take very long. Your rep is going to tell you the documents he's either going to need from you before you meet or once you submit, your application, things they'll just have you bring in afterwards. As long as you bring him in a timely manner, it only takes a day or two to go ahead and get your pre-approval out to you pretty quick.
Yeah. What does rate change depend on when you're buying a property?
Yeah, there can be a few things that change your rate. Usually, the biggest ones are what type of home you're buying. Is it your primary residence you're going to live in all the time?
Yeah.
Is it your vacation home or is it an investment property? Those are going to be the three biggest things that really kind of factor into that. And there's all sorts of loans out there with different rates, but those would be the most common. I would say, especially with my first-time home buyers, a lot of folks out there are looking to buy a two-family and maybe rent out the other unit and ask me, is my rate going to be way different? It's not. It's still your primary residence, so in most cases you're going to find it's going to be the same.
All right. What are closing costs?
What are closing costs? Closing costs are costs associated with actually making your loan, for lack of a better word. When you get your loan estimate from your mortgage rep, it's going to have a full breakdown of what they all are. And there's a whole bunch of them in there, usually, little odds and ends. The biggest ones you're going to find are, underwriting fees, your government recording charges, title insurance, depending on some places, your appraisal might be in there. So that's what you'll kind of find in most places.
And I can't express how important title insurance is.
Yep.
We're actually working on a deal right now where there was a problem with the title, and that insurance is key if there's any issues. So who pays for the closing costs?
Typically the borrower.
Okay.
Every once in a while, your realtor might be able to, work it in there where the seller's going to pay for it, but I'd say in most cases it's the borrower that's going to be prepared to pay for that.
All right. And this is one I get a lot is how much should I save for my home? How much money?
Kind of a tough question to answer, but I'll say this, as far as closing costs go and other costs associated with actually closing on the home.
Yeah.
Your closing costs are going to run you around $3,000. A lot of factors in there. Could be less, could be a little bit more. That's what you're going to want to just kind of ballpark. You're also going to want to, build in, you're going to have to pay for usually a year of homeowner's insurance up front, which is different if you're buying a single family home versus if you're buying a condo. The contents insurance for a condo might be $300 for the year. A homeowner's insurance might be closer to $1,000 or $1,100 for the year, something like that. You're going to need to pay for a couple months of taxes right up front, your initial escrow deposit. So that's going to be built in there, which obviously depends on how much your taxes are. There's also going to be some prepaid interest in there. So all told, between those costs, your closing costs, I typically tell borrowers you're going to want to budget about $5,000 to $6,000. On top of whatever your down payment is. And down payment obviously is going to change depending on what you're putting down and how much your house is.
All right. And do I have to put down 20%?
You do not. There are loan programs out there that are offering 3 and 5% options, to different borrowers at different credit scores.
Okay, beautiful. And what are the pros and cons of using a online lender?
I would say the pros are you get to use a computer, which is nice. The cons are you don't get to work with me. I think most realtors are going to tell you when they're looking at all the offers that they've been given, they'll normally just kind of, not really take much seriousness into the ones where they were using an online lender. And, it really all just comes down to, like I said, availability. Is this a person that I can reach out to and call and email and get to know that you met and shook hands with?
Exactly.
Or is this an 800 number? And so it's really invaluable being able to work with an actual person that works in the area. And, a lot of times it's a small community here. A lot of times you end up knowing the mortgage rep might even know the realtor in a lot of cases. So, there really is a benefit to meeting somebody in person.
It's funny you say that, because last year my buyer actually got the property because the other broker knew how good the mortgage broker was.
There you go.
So I think it's very important to work with local agents and local mortgage brokers. Absolutely. Do I have to pay PMI?
You do not have to pay PMI. Typically, so PMI comes into play if you put in less than 20% down, which like we just mentioned, there's situations where you can put maybe 3 and 5% down depending on your credit score, depending on the loan program you're going into. If you do not want to make that monthly PMI payment, there are loan programs that offer something called a lender-paid mortgage insurance.
Yeah.
The best one I can think of right now would be Mass Housing off the top of my head, since we're talking about first-time homebuyers. Usually what it is they'll build it into your payment instead of having an actual chunk going towards PMI there.
Yeah.
It ends up being less in most cases, which is nice because it keeps your payments down. For first-time home buyers, a lot of them are buying homes on a budget, so the less we can make your monthly payment, the better. Again, that's something you can go over when you're sitting down with your mortgage rep, and they can compare and contrast and let you know what would be the best option for you.
Absolutely. And I know that I work with a lot of contractors, and the question I get is, what if I'm self-employed?
If you're self-employed, it's the same as if for someone who makes bonuses or commission, anything that's going to fluctuate or anything like that. What we do is we take a 2-year history and average those out when we're trying to figure out what you're going to be able to apply for. I get some folks that are self-employed and they say, oh, it must be so difficult for me to get a mortgage. That's really not the case. It's really, kind of the same process as anybody else coming in. It's just the way that we have to look at your income is just a little bit different, but largely it's not a huge problem.
All right. Yeah. All right. And we're kind of getting to the end. What are some things that you would love to leave us with as far as first-time home buyers and what we really should be focusing on going forward?
Yep. So for first-time home buyers, I'd say look out for those first-time home buyer programs. Also, if you're going to be looking in the winter or the springtime, you might want to go ahead and take one of these first-time home buyer seminars, just kind of get it out of the way. It's one less thing that you have to do going forward. North Shore Bank, our website, shows all the ones that we have scheduled for 2017. We'll have a new list coming out next year. Basically, it's these things you go and do it in a weekend. You sit down, you learn some things, you get a certificate. If you take one of ours, we give you a $750 closing credit, which is great.
That's awesome.
And that's good. You learn an awful lot about the home buying process when doing that.
And how long is that certificate good for?
Certificate's typically good for a year.
Okay.
So you get that, and then you have it for your home buying search for the rest of the year. The other thing I would tell people to keep an eye out for, and certainly discuss this with your mortgage rep because they can help you look into these, is down payment assistance programs. There's money out there available from the state and even in the different cities and towns in the area where your rep can go ahead and tell you what's available and how to apply for it. That's a huge benefit for someone go ahead and trying to put a down payment on a home, get some assistance.
And before I met with Kevin a few weeks ago, I thought all those programs are gone.
Nope.
So it's great to know that they're back.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's wonderful. So So thank you for stopping by.
Thank you for having me.
And I can't recommend Kevin enough. So, so would you like to leave your contact information?
Yeah, Kevin Dillon, North Shore Bank, right on Linfield's Parkway in Saugus. My office number is 781-426-2167, or my email is kdillon@northshore-bank.com. Reach out if you have any questions at all.
Absolutely, and thank you for stopping by.
All right.
Appreciate
Thanks
it.
a lot, Bill.
No problem.